Vision? What do you know about my vision? My vision would turn your world upside down, tear us under your illusions, and send the sanctuary of your own ignorance crashing down around you. Now ask yourself, are you really ready to see that vision?
It's about to make a change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. Yeah, it's about to make a change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. You can't make a change unless you got the love. Change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. You can't make a change unless you got some make a change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. We started from the bottom, talking about the roots. Every time I'm in the booth, I gotta shoot the truth. My art.
Y'all. It's episode 7 of the Boondocks Podcast, A Huey Freeman Christmas. And just like Macy's and Kaufman's and whatever your local department store is, yes, we're talking about Christmas in Halloween. Mm-hmm. On this episode, let me give you the this is the HBO Max synopsis. A well-meaning liberal teacher offers Huey the chance to direct the elementary school Christmas play, and Huey decides to release his vision onto the world. The Adventures of Black Jesus. And y'all, because I like to give my own synopsis. Honestly, that opening clip we just heard, I feel like is every job interview I had since I was like 30, and also an equal outcome of people not being ready for it. What do you ladies have going on? Yep, for being an irresponsible white person. Hence why and how I ended up in my own business. What are you ladies up to?
Oh, man. I don't know. What day is it? It's Tuesday. Well, we're recording.
A week away from when we need to change this country, guys.
Right. All right. Yeah, I guess let's talk about that. Hey, if you have not already voted, then get ready, because it's going to be election night. Yes. And we'll talk about something special that we're going to do about that at the end of the show today. But I think besides the election, I do think there is one thing that's happened in the news that we should talk about, or at least touch on. And there was another shooting last night in Philadelphia. Black man in mental health crisis was killed by the police. And in this instance, the police I think it's Philadelphia, am I right? Yeah. So in this instance, the police in Philadelphia didn't even carry non-lethal options. The only thing that they had were guns, so they used it. And wow. I feel like... Yeah, Walter Wallace, that's right. I just feel like, and Junior, I believe. Yeah. I feel like this is just same shit, different day. And that's probably the hardest thing that I'm saying out loud right now. I'm so fucking tired of, and not just that. Today, just north of where we live, there was a viral video going out of a group of teenagers being confronted by a man with a gun at a makeshift Trump rally that happened. And when the police were called and showed up, they talked the man down and let him go home. Guess what race that man was?
Of course. He wasn't melanated at all.
Right. So, yeah. It's, that's on my mind.
Yeah, that's sad, because we, unfortunately, here in Sacramento have had a very suspicious hanging of a young Black man, Willie Brown Jr., 30, in his early 30s, and actually not too far from where we are. It's probably about 5 minutes from where we live. And he supposedly tied the noose and everything up onto the basketball rim.
Okay, and attention, every white person in America. No Black person's going to lynch themselves. No Black person's going to lynch themselves.
No.
And it's just not happening out here.
The fact that it's happening and that it's continuing to happen, and that
and it's 2 kids or 2 out of 3 kids. God.
Yeah. So,
And this is not the first self-lynching we had
Right.
here. We had a couple of these this summer, if I recall correctly.
There were a few
yeah,
across California and
George Floyd.
Texas.
Yeah, and right after George Floyd, there was, I believe, in the first couple of weeks, if I am not mistaken, it was more than 10 that had occurred in a 2-week period.
Yeah,
but
it
of
was
course they didn't
something
talk about
fucking
that.
ridiculous.
Yeah, they didn't talk about that. So sorry.
Yeah,
Sharing on Twitter. So if you heard that, that was me. Yeah, it's. What are we just supposed to really just close our eyes, especially to a situation like that occurred here, and not say that seems fishy? You know, Stephon Clark.
You mean like most other people?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I just can't. I know I sound so insensitive and inappropriate to it, but like when you're like, I'm so tired, y'all, like that's why I just make the most inappropriate jokes about this shit because nothing gets through to people. I just don't like, I go through the waves of like, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm chill. And then I just see like the apathetic nature of people on Twitter in my personal life. And it just, I don't know what to do. Well, never mind. I'll save my quote for when we get into the show. When Granddad said you have to make these things sexy. I guess so, because we have all the videos. We have all the scientific proof that people don't fucking lynch themselves. And it's just like you tell this to people. And unless you're sitting with a bunch of other Black people, not even all of them, but nobody fucking gives a shit. And then they just sip their Starbucks and have a nice...
They're pumpkin spice lattes.
Now, I mean, to be fair,
Strumpf waffle straw.
To be fair, and I can hear Dean singing it in the background. If you know our other podcast, to be fair, there is a lot of anger out there after this. It's re-sparked. Like in Seattle, we've had nonstop protests almost every night since George Floyd. 151 days or something like that. Portland, same way. Every single night this has been happening. Some areas it kind of died off a little, and I feel like that has reignited after this weekend, because a couple of things happened over the weekend. So like it's like we keep, again, it's the same shit, different day. We keep reliving the same fucking thing over and over again. And every time we get more and more new white allies who are going to try and do their best. But why does it have to take so many Black people dying to wake up the rest of America?
Yeah.
Why do we have to die for the idea of basic human rights to be a normal thing?
Because the Constitution says that we're 3/5 of a human. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
and
a great number.
We have a confirmed justice who believes that the Constitution should be held to, what it originally meant.
The original?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, because there was not a lot of kickback. Like, I feel like with the last gentleman and the whole, like, let's dig up his college shit and everything, there was a lot more, just plain, just out there, just pushback. I think that either this time they're kind of like, all right, we're not going to put as much effort into it because look what that shit did to us last time, or because it's a woman. I don't know. Or it's because we all have eyes on the election. Because that our government is really good for look over here, so that we don't pay attention to, what the task at hand is. So
I think it's all of the above. I really do. I think that that the current people in power or who think that they have power know that they're about to lose it.
Oh, yeah.
I have a really hard time being optimistic in any way, but the fact that, at least by, what CNN was saying before we recorded tonight, half of all of the votes that came in 2016, like we've already matched that in early voting. The number of people who have early voted, either through mail or in person, is more, it's more than half of all of the people who voted in 2016. So, and we still have 7 days, right? Today's Tuesday, so it's next Tuesday. And, if you were planning on mailing in your ballot, you are too late. There is no way your ballot is going to get there if you are listening to this episode and you did not mail it in. So get your butt out to the ballot box wherever you can find one to drop it off. And you do it. I don't care who you vote for, but you exercise your goddamn right to vote because that is the only power that we have. That's it right now.
Yeah. And I'll say if you are in my area, if you're in Sacramento, the Adoco is open. So, they're not using it for any sports or anything else. So they're more than happy to go ahead and open that up. Lots of opportunity for social distancing. Somewhere that you can go and turn it in yourself, not where you're driving or you're dropping it off at a box. And then we find out that box was set on fire, like all the shit that's going on.
That's right. Because you have extra shit in California with like the fake ballot boxes and shit that are still there.
Yeah. That they had a right. It was okay for them to keep it there. So they were.
Right.
I mean, come on. I couldn't just set up a box in front of my house and be like, well, I'm helping, come on, so.
Right.
But yeah, so if you're here, guys, in Sacramento, there are plenty of locations. There's, the libraries. You can take it directly to the polling offices. But I just say DOCO it's a central location for everybody. Everybody knows what that is. Great parking, lots of opportunity. Get there, vote, especially if you are a person of color. Our ancestors fought for this. Okay.
Right. Don't take for granted just that you live in a blue state. Living in a blue state means shit. Like, look at Seattle right now. We are surrounded by red. The only thing keeping us blue is the fact that so many people live within the city. So living in a blue state doesn't mean shit. Look at the people around you. You need to vote. You need to vote.
And don't count on, if you are inspired by a celebrity or somebody in the public eye, great. But let's not jump on the 50 Cent, Rick Ross, T.I. and whatever other idiot that has his pockets lined up deep with lots of zeros that are like, I'm going for the guy. Come on. Like we said last week.
They're voting with their pocketbook.
Yes. Find somebody that matches your ideals, somebody that matches your lifestyle. That's somebody that you want to then say, okay, I respect their opinion. But don't look at somebody who has bought and sold, a water line to Pepsi and who is now into acting and producing and who continues to keep his pockets lined. Come on. Like, your interests are not the same.
A famous Uncle Ruckus.
Right?
God,
like,
there are so many coming out of the woodwork right now.
Yes. And I just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm so mad at 50 because 50's first album is still forever. I could put that on and play it from beginning to end. But then I remember that you are just such a troll and such an idiot right now that I can't. So, but yeah, so there's my soapbox. Jumping off and I'm kicking it over. So
yeah, let's talk about something a little more light, a little more nice than all of this. Let's talk about Christmas.
Yeah, religion.
Yeah,
it's easier. No, and that's crazy when that is the lesser of, I don't say two evils, but like the lesser, stressful topic right now.
Right. One of the reasons why I love this show so much is because every single bit of the show, every minor character, every word, drips with reality. Like, he's calling out every single stereotype around Christmas, whether it's, full on capitalism with gimme, 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 or whether it's grandpa crying in front of the TV for the Christmas Miracle Story, whatever. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's been a few years since I read the Bible. And, you've got
Jasmine at the beginning, the openings.
The Santa worship.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love her.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just her preaching, her testimony, and like that. I mean, from beginning, they let you know this is what you're getting into. This is what the episode's about.
Well, and, fun fact, if you're a fan of the Blues Brothers, that's actually a scene right from that movie.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that is.
And yeah, right. It's a black church in the movie. So that's what Jasmine's doing. She's up there and she is preaching the gospel. Her gospel is Santa. The ho-ho-hos. What is it? Get the ho-ho-ho. Get the hose out of the videos and into your mouth. And I'm like, that can be taken.
Standing there next to the Hilton sisters like Nicole Rich.
Yeah. I mean, that was 15 years ago. I asked Dean, who would be the ho-ho-hos now? Like, Nicki Minaj?
They're not as in your face prevalent. Like, it was, socialites were being built.
Right.
So that's all we saw. Lindsay Lohan and her fire crotch. Britney Spears was going through her shit at that time. So it was Britney, it was Lindsay Lohan, it was Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton, and they were like beefing with Lindsay, and then they weren't, and they were, and then remember when Lindsay had the girlfriend Sam Ronson?
Yep. And wait, can we just say
so
thanks
good.
to all of that shit, we have the Kardashians now. We have fucking Kanye running for president because he's married to a fucking enabler family. And
I like the Kardashians though. I don't like Kourtney, she's a bitch. But I knew about the Kardashians before the Kardashians was a big thing. Hubby's frat brother, all Armenians are related, by the way. So let's just start there. But prior to them becoming really big, he had told us, he goes, I have a cousin. Do you know who Robert Kardashian is? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. So we're like 7 cousins or whatever. And and his daughters are getting ready to blow up. He's like, just mark my words. Like they're in the next year or so, they're going to blow up. And it was probably about 18 months later. So, and if I could if anybody said, here's a magic wand. What ethnicity do you want to be? I will so be Armenian. The food is so freaking good. And they love their culture and the weddings are cracking. And I mean, so many things. And they're closest to, any of us that have a ethnic history, we share commonality. So, and they are, yes, in Armenia. Yeah. Please, if you guys don't know, educate yourself about what, the country of Armenia is going through and what they've actually continued to go through for well over 100 years. Yeah.
Right now they're in a war with a country called Akash. There's civilians being subsidized the military.
Yeah. So, shout out and support to them as I speak of them. But yeah, so I kind of knew of them before, so I'm a little biased. But look, I'm not mad at somebody who can go ahead and flip a really boring sex tape into today.
That is literally my biggest problem with all of this. Is that was like the lamest sex tape. Like fucking Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson was better than that, and that's not good.
I mean, because Ray J, but you can tell Ray J he wasn't doing his best though. Ray J was into it. Ray J was making love to himself, to the camera, to that E that he was on, and then Kim was just like, yeah. That was so, oh my God.
Yeah. And she got famous.
I respect the hustle, but I wish the Kardashians loved their culture as much as you love their culture, and they would back off ours. That's all I have to say on that.
They do though. Like they're really proud and especially because their father's gone. So the part of them that is most connected, and that would allow them to be around that family and that community is no longer here. So Chris tries with her, because Chris looks like she could be Armenian, like really with that, darker olive skin tone and whatnot. But I will say this, they do travel like during the 100-year, I don't say celebration, but during the 100-year, I guess it was kind of a celebration, but like the remembrance of what happened, the Armenian War, they went back to Armenia. They do actually reside, or they are present in what we call Little Armenia. If you know anything, Burbank, Pasadena, that's what the Armenians are. They do frequent a lot of the restaurants and, the halls and things like that, like they do, but it's just not something that E shows, because E wants to show Malibu and he wants to show Calabasas and, not blah, blah, blah church on the corner of, East Colorado and whatever in Burbank. But yeah, I get you, but girl, wouldn't you want your black man too? I mean...
Well, and to be fair, though, it's Khloe and Kylie who are like the big culture vultures. I know Kim does the cornrows and all her own stuff, but I mean, that's kind of whatever. My issue with those girls was that they would like find black designers and they'd rip off the designs and then market them as their own and not credit the black designers they found.
I'm so not surprised.
But allegedly... Yeah, exactly. But allegedly, Khloe is OJ's daughter.
I love the most that you don't.
I did hear the one about Khloe being OJ's daughter.
Yes.
And Kylie is just Chris and Caitlyn's daughter.
Yeah.
So I guess there is no disrespect to the Armenian.
When you do the whole comparison, Chloe's nose looks a little on the black side.
Oh, there's been so much work there. There's been so much work.
But now there's been so much work. I mean, I will say this.
Oh my God, did you?
They are dedicated to their men. I will say this. And I hate how people say there's a whole get out situation. No, what it is that men that don't have a traditional family, They're attracted to their family. They're attracted to the family structure that they have, and they're attracted to strong women that are in the
believe
lead.
that.
So it's not that they go out and they go, let's look for these poor men, like everybody wants to say. These men are attracted to them and to what their family has. And so maybe if some of us that are on the critics train that want to say that it's a whole get out situation, maybe if you really just went ahead and turn the mirror around and realize that probably deep down, you're a little envious of the way that their family is. I mean, Chris, man, if you are ever looking to take anybody on as a client, right here, because she will make you rich. Okay. Like those babies never have to work. Any of those babies that come out of their bodies never have to work, and they will be set. And I like that hustle about them. But yeah, so here we are off topic again. But yes, so
That's what we do.
It is.
Welcome to the Boondocks Podcast. Are you new around here?
That's why you guys love us.
It's like I was saying before. Well, I guess not on this particular episode, but yes, we are here to talk about the Boondocks, but this is a show that's 15 years old. We're not talking about just the Boondocks. Yeah. We're talking about life that has emerged since the Boondocks. And the Kardashians is a really good example of that, because at the time, they were essentially the subject of what, Jasmine was talking about in that scene. That socialite circle and hose on music videos, that's exactly what she was talking about. So, and this huge, I don't know what you would call it, Kardashian estate, the whole of the, what do you call it, brand, I guess. That all came out of like this worship of celebrity culture, which was targeted in a lot of Boondocks episodes. Yeah. So it's not, we're never that far from talking about the show when we're talking, even like earlier when we were talking politics, and you're like, oh yeah, that's like grandpa in that scene. Like it really, really is. And like as we're talking about these things, we can bring up stuff from the show. So
I feel like Aaron Magruder's sitting at home and with his crystal ball, and he's like, yes, this is everything that I foresaw. Like, I swear he's like, talk about it, girls, talk about it. No, but it is, it's funny when you say that. It just made me think that the whole, I don't want to say obsession, but it really ramped up with celebrity culture and celebrity like lives and paparazzi. It really peaked about 2002, 2003 with the ladies that we were just talking about and the simple life, And I love that Paris Hilton comes out now and goes, hey guys, that was an act. I was smart enough to be able to build that kind of personality and play off of it. That
was obvious. Like the other, some of the others that was really kind of who they were, but you could tell that Paris was a hell of a lot smarter than what she was letting people know.
I mean,
like, she would just look at you and be like,
hot. I definitely said that a lot. That's hot. I loved it. I loved how they were like, what's a Walmart? And I was like, girl, y'all know what a Walmart is. Stop it. But it was, the simple life was great freaking TV for then. And it just spoke upon the times. And now we have like Blueface Bad Girls Club, and the Bad Girls Club reunion being on OnlyFans and shit like that. Yeah. So now there's where you can create your own content, and you can either put it like on OnlyFans, or of course you can go YouTube. So there's a rapper, Blueface Baby. I just have to say that every time I say his name. But he has his version of the Bad Girls Club. He calls it Blueface's Bad Girls Club. And his casting was not good at all. But his casting, he just got girls, hit him up through Instagram. He brought like 10 of them into one of his 2 houses. And for the past 2 or 3 weeks, it's been, I'm just like, I'm so happy that my 23-year-old has a girlfriend already. And that this is not his pick of the, his living that he gets to pick from. Because they are definitely taking it back to, beginning of Bad Girls Club, like the bad behavior, like the fighting. There's no women empowerment in this shit. There's all about bitch and clout and all this other stuff. So it's funny how it's progressed, which is my point of saying. So getting from where we were to where we are now. And it's because of the access that we have to it, and the fact that celebrities feel like in order to be a celebrity, now they have to be more connected with their audience, which means they have to put more of their business out in the street, which you didn't have to do before. So it's,
Well,
it's
I think this is a good time for my clip.
Rose right.
Because it sums everything up.
I can agree with that, yeah.
I just explained the entire history of Christmas.
But it was boring, Huey. You just blah, blah, gay sex, blah, blah, Congress. You gotta be interesting. You're gonna talk me to death.
blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, gay sex, blah, blah, Congress.
And just that you gotta make shit tight. Like, listen, yeah, like to your point, we can talk all this shit about the Hiltons, the Kardashians, whatever. They built a platform. They got more clout than any of us.
Man,
so,
and more money.
Hey,
Yep, they figured out how to communicate what they wanted to communicate, and they did it. And that's exactly like Grandpa is a connoisseur of that kind of television. Like, he wants something fast and exciting, and he wants it to be boom, boom, boom. Whereas Huey's like, I want to tell you what's actually, the history and this awesome stuff that I know all of this stuff about. And like, Huey reminds me of me when I start talking about one of my favorite things. But anyway, that's because.
And would I be remiss if I said that Christmas was the Kardashian of Catholic holidays or Christian holidays?
Yes.
I don't think so.
That's a really good
Gotta
point.
make it sexy.
Because it's fake culture. It's pretend something that it's not, essentially. It took Saturnalia and like all of these different pagan traditions, like having a tree and bringing it in a Yule log. And God, I can't even remember. I studied a lot of that shit when I was younger. Because I was fascinated by how much Christianity like usurped so many other things to become what it is.
Huey expands on what really Christmas started, how it was a pagan holiday, and how it was just men would give gifts to each other, which is a little suspect. And then how they would.
There is no suspect.
I know.
There's no suspect
because I'm leading to it next. Like we said,
the holiday was
drink
literally
and have sex with each other. Yeah. So
give each other gifts and have sex with each other because it was a male dominated sect, I guess you would call it.
Yeah. And so when and how did somebody go, let's roll that over and say that, the savior of all humankind, that was his birthday. Let's go ahead and make that story around that. Like
they had to snuff out the pagans. And the way that they snuffed out the pagans was taking their holidays and saying, those are part of our holidays, not your holidays, and basically being Trump to them. That didn't happen. This is how it is now. And you either agree with us or you can die. We don't care. You choose. Like, that's literally how most pagans died when all of this stuff was happening with religions intersecting. But like anyone who wasn't Christian, they would take their traditions and kill the people who weren't going to convert.
Well, wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
Isn't that a little, coincidental and familiar now?
Yeah.
They're not doing it they're not coming out and plainly saying it, but that's what some people's agenda definitely is. Let's go ahead and see if we can get rid of them, and then let's take all the good shit, which is everything.
Yeah,
let's take all the good shit, and then let's try to make it ours.
What Christianity has turned into. Like, actually, it's really funny. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, that they asked me why I believed in socialism, and I asked them why they believed in Jesus, and they named off these things, and I'm like, that's socialism. And they're like, how is that socialism? Feeding the poor, taking care of the sick, taking care of the disabled, making sure that everybody has a basic quality of life, like getting rid of money lenders and people who are trying to cheat other people. No, don't fuck around with other people's stuff. Don't fuck around with other people, period. That, stay out of their business. That's fucking socialism, honey.
Yeah.
You think socialism is somehow, capitalism in disguise. But what you call socialism is what America has done to every socialist country, not true socialism. Yeah. And I swear to God, if one of you listeners out there brings up National Socialists, I swear to God, I will fucking, I don't know. Because there's nothing socialist about them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people, and that's the bad thing is they just lump everything together.
Yeah.
That's one unfortunate bad quality, if you want to call it a quality or aspect of y'all's president that is really rubbing off on everybody. You know, it's the ability to not have common sense or critical thinking. That's what it is. Nobody's using critical thinking skills at all. They're just, sounds about right. So let's go ahead and go with that. Or it fits my narrative. So let's go with that, you know? And that's super dangerous. And I think we've really seen that for 4 years, guys. Like, so let's try to fix it. Cause I can't do it anymore. I'm going to be moving with y'all to Canada. Telling you.
Like, the closer it gets to the election, yeah. Anyway. So yeah, one of the big things kind of highlighted in this episode was the history of the holiday being distorted from its original point, and it kind of all comes together when Huey's basically creating this passion play about his idea of the life of Jesus. And this whole episode is literally him trying to create this masterpiece with Quincy Jones and Angela Bassett and Denzel Washington, while at the same time, all of these supportive white people are doing no supportive, anything. And, we don't want to change a bit, except that Jesus can't be black. And
they were all on board until that. Just a few changes.
Just a few.
Ripping the contract, which you can't, please. If you ripped a contract that you had with a white person, oh God, their lawyers would be rushing in the room very quick. Like I'm saying, first of all, it was with a child. Let's just not, that's not even really addressed, how that could not really happen. But that said so much. I don't care what agreement we had. I don't care what conditions we had based this upon. Now, I don't like it. I'm going to go ahead and take it away. So that said a lot. To me, really looking into that, because it's basically like we can make and break promises no matter if you're an adult or if you're a child. We're going to do what we please. And I think this is this is the first time in the first 6-7 episodes that we've seen Huey become very dejected.
Yeah.
I feel like at that time he felt like he had no power. There was no plan B. There was nothing he could do. He just felt like, all right, this isn't a time that anybody's going to listen to what I have to say.
And you know what I think about when I think of that? I think of every Black person who's done emotional labor for how many people for the last how many years, and we're still where we are right now. Most Black people that I know are fucking tired, and I'm fucking tired. And it's not like I'm not physically tired. I'm tired that we're having the same argument over and over again, and the base of your argument is I don't deserve to be here. Yeah. And I feel like that's Huey, kind of encompassing that, starting off really gung-ho and really excited, and it's going to be this wonderful thing, and he's going to put all of his all into it, and he wants to make sure it's perfect, and he's got all of his favorite things wrapped up into this, including samurai, which I don't know how that fits in, but okay. Because Huey's a fan.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of Black people are definitely fans of martial arts, and
I actually didn't realize that so much. I grew up knowing all about Bruce Lee, and had a total obsession with his son before his son died, and so I was fascinated kind of with old Bruce Lee movies and all that. I didn't really understand that was a part of Black culture too, that kind of meshed together in a lot of those movies, especially in the 70s and beyond. And so that's a really cool thing for me to discover as an adult.
Yeah. I wonder why that is. I have never really kind of thought about it, but I'm interested to see. I love, reviewing movie history and our role within Hollywood, and our ability to be able to create. So I've definitely watched things about documentaries about Black exploitation movies and things like that. But that would be kind of interesting to really see the peeling the onion on the interests of of kung fu.
You should look up,
martial arts.
what's his name? Jim Kelly. You should look up Jim Kelly. And you will see a lot of the beginning of that, of why. Like, oh, yeah, see if he can show you the picture. Like, none of our listeners can hear this, but all of you at home, go look up Jim Kelly.
Got it. Okay.
It's fine. So, but that was, I mean, he was alongside, if I remember right, yeah. A lot of martial art movies back, and then Enter the Dragon. Yeah, he was in Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, and so I don't think that was the start, but that was where like you started seeing more. Yeah, you started. I love that Dean's just showing me things on his phone. Black Belt Jones. Oh, I love this. Yep.
Yeah,
Jim Kelly is Black Belt Jones, and there's a number of movies with that.
Yeah, I do know that the character on Martin that Martin used to play, that was the martial artist teacher. I remember Martin saying, like, he told them, like, I have to play a character like this because of his, his love for it. And Jim Kelly at the time. Yeah. What was his name? Dragonfly Jones or something like that?
Yes.
He would always get his ass kicked. He always get his ass kicked. Greatest shit ever. Oh my God. If there's any of you have not watched Martin, please do yourself a favor.
Oh, man.
And go watch Martin.
Immediately.
Yeah.
I watched it when it was like live, but like the Boondocks. I watched it when it was live, but I haven't really thought of it since. I might have to do that.
You are totally going to have to. We watched it like twice back to back in this year. Like, nice. We get to the last season, we're like, it was bad after here, so then we started it again. But even my 12-year-old, yeah, I do know who Jim Kelly is. Yeah, hubby's pulling up his pictures and everything now. I totally know who that is. And The Last Dragon. What's his name? Taimo, the guy that played The Last Dragon. Yeah, you guys totally, please.
No, I have not seen that one.
Barry Gordy. That's right.
Yeah.
It was Barry Gordy.
Dean literally just said that.
Yes,
okay,
Barry
cool.
Gordy.
Well, we're going to find that.
Yes.
Looks like it's on Amazon.
Yeah, I was going to say it's. I'm looking at it right now. So the main actor, the main character, his name is like Timac. There we go. See, I wasn't crazy. Taimak. Yeah, he was a real martial artist, and I remember him saying that he got influenced by. Yeah, you got what I'm picking up now. All right, hubby's on board. He got it now. He think I'm going crazy. That's a great movie though. That had Apollonia in it. Like I said, show enough. Yeah. You got please watch it, and then just when you watch it, just come back and be like, kiss my Converse, and then I'll know that you guys watched it.
Hell yeah! All right.
Yes.
Deal.
Yes.
That's actually I for a short while in my life, back in my early 30s, I was a little obsessed with blaxploitation movies myself, and saw a lot of those kung fu movies. That's why I kind of knew about that. In fact, for my 30th birthday, anybody listening who might remember the day that I gave up hard alcohol, we had a pimp and hoe party, a 70s era pimp and hoe party for my 30th birthday, and we played blaxploitation movies on the side of the club. And
that's kind of fire. I like that.
It was fun. What I remember.
All right, that's a perfect kind of birthday, girl. That's my kind of birthday.
Oh yeah, no, hard alcohol and I definitely had to break up after that, though.
Yeah,
yeah.
We can have a whole other episode.
I was no longer in my
20s. Yeah, because I was definitely, let's just say, club, VIP booth, San Francisco, lots of bottles. This one ends up just
lovely.
And then hubby's frat brother, big old, Samoan, threw me over his shoulder with vomit all over me and got me out of the club. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. That wasn't my 21st, guys. That was my 35th. That's cute.
Hey, my 30th, I remember getting in the car with Dean. Like, I know I was safe. And then I just stopped caring. So I stopped making memories. So I know I got home safe because, Dean doesn't drink. So I had a designated driver that night. Yeah. But I think I puked for 3 days. And broke every capillary in my face.
Oh, yeah. Hubbies, thank you so much. Because we definitely, I've definitely been some time. You were like, I did not sign up for this shit. But you did.
Oh, no. Dean signed up for this shit. He knew I was a more than casual drinker when we met. But
yeah,
I think he worked on me. He didn't drink at all, pretty much. So
if anything, my hubby helped me to realize, this is how you're going to handle it. we ride. So I'll say within our first 6 months, his 21st birthday in Vegas, let's just say, I thought I was dying. I was like, call the hotel doctor. I'm dying. And he's like, you're not dying. I was like, I'm dying. And then, yeah.
He's like, here's some greasy food. Here's some water. You'll be fine, baby.
He did. He just, yeah. Let's just say none of us were sober. Let's just say what we were not sober on was kicking in for him, but he was good. Well, I was just like, I'm going to die. I could feel my heartbeat. And he's like, just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. And took a deep breath. And then a few minutes later, I was like, let's go. And we partied hard in Vegas. So, yeah, that was his 21st birthday. But yeah, now I've learned brown makes me clown. That's what he says. So I can only drink brown if it's like, we're celebrating the Warriors win or Niners win or, we're not going anywhere. And then he pours my Hennessy. Other than that, give your girl some Tito's or some beer, and that is it. That's about it. Or the plant, which is much better. But
yeah. Like, I can probably smoke almost everybody I know under the table. Now that my sister has... I have not actually met you in person yet. We need to smoke together. That is going to happen.
We're going to have a great session.
That is absolutely fucking happening. But it used to be kind of this running joke with me and my sister before she passed away that she was the only person in the world that could ever outsmoke me. Because she very rarely felt high anymore because she just, after 5 years of fighting cancer, that was, kind of an all-the-time thing. So
Yeah. So hubby has a question. He wants to know if you can smoke a Be-Legitter or if you know what a Be-Legitter is.
I do not know what a Be-Legitter is.
Okay. Oh, you don't either? About being out there in the Bay? You don't know what a Be-Legitter is?
No.
So a Be-Legitter is, he's showing you, he's putting it in the camera now, ladies. So it is 2 swishers or wraps or, whatever you use rolled together.
A health inspector blunt.
And he says, let's do one right now. So I guess we're going to celebrate. We're going to show you guys.
I stay away from anything that has tobacco in it now that I quit smoking cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
And because it literally, I smoked for, Mom, forgive me, I smoked for 25 years. And my voice is about 3 octaves lower than it used to be. Like, I lost a huge range of my singing voice. So quitting smoking a few years ago was my voice has come back a bit, but yeah, no, I can't even smell tobacco now without wanting it, and I don't want to smoke. So
yeah, I used to smoke Newports. Everybody says, "Oh, the ghetto cigarettes," and I'm like, you know what? I started smoking them with white people, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Right? Exactly.
Shit.
So, I remember Newports. But actually, this is another thing. Mom, don't forgive your mom. But it was your mom, that left her carton of cigarettes under my bed one year when she came to visit. And there we go.
I got it from you, Grandma. I got it from you.
And then she sent me to fucking modeling school because my grandmother thought I was getting a little round around the edges. Yes, I absolutely tell you that is what happened. And that's where I really learned to smoke. So, because you did that instead of eating.
Man, because that definitely, you didn't, what? Cool. Give me a cigarette and give me some coffee. That is great. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
I started smoking my mom used to smoke Virginia Slims. And I remember growing up being like, that's so gross. And she had the cigarette, little container and everything. And, thinking back, I definitely probably had some thoughts that it was kind of fancy and it was kind of glamorous. But growing up, we had the big cigarettes are bad for you. But once I start working, I was working customer service. I'd go down, on breaks and we'd be complaining to shit, this person. And someone would be like, girl, hit this. Don't worry about that customer. So it went from me hitting it to me borrowing one to them going, bitch, if you don't take your ass across the street to Shell and buy your own pack, you're a smoker now. And I was like, I am. So I would only allow myself to smoke when I was in my car. And then when my son wasn't in there, when I got with my husband, this was just all we had done was get physical. We were just, we were just getting in at this time. And he was like, I take your cigarettes. I don't deal with girls that smoke. He's like, so I'll give you one in the day and one at night. And I was like, no, he didn't. But I was like, penis or cigarettes. I should say, I wish you could see what he's doing right now. Because he's basically going to dick. I wish you guys could see what he's doing. That went over. Yes. So it was very easy.
I will 100% blame Dean that I quit smoking at one point and then he started again and that got me started. So that was not my fault that it was 25 full years.
Yeah. It was
I
him. He
tried to
did.
quit a lot.
Yeah. Well, there was some times we'd be in Vegas or, maybe, another substance was in our system. Something that starts with the M, or like the kids used to call it, ecstasy. And I'd look over and he'd be like, can I hit that cigarette? And I'd be like, yes, you can. Because it was like, I could smoke it for the rest of the time. So being in Vegas, like, I got my little
terrible. Yeah.
But now, like, I would never, like, when people smoke now, I have to say, we were watching an adult film last night, and I was like, isn't cigarettes gross? Like, this girl was actually, like, lighting up a cigarette, and I was like, ew. Like, not everybody's like, ew, cigarettes? But yeah, so that's where I am now. But as far as the swishers that we use, we only use these swishers, one, because they are $1 for a pack of 5, and they're right across the street. But normally we go for the tobacco less, like, wraps, or we go for what they're called King Palms, and they're like a corn husk and some other shit now, so they're much healthier. But so when we do get together, we will smoke a Bila Jitter, but I will make sure that is not with the tobacco product.
Sounds good.
And then we're also going to make sure that we're not going to go anywhere. Like, we're going to stay very close to our vicinity of where we partake of the medicine.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to have us lit. So, anywho, on that.
Back to Christmas.
Yes, back to Christmas. Look, and I'm sure the wonderful plant was consumed during that first pagan Christmas. And I'm sure many Christmases after, because we know that it has been around, although people want to act like it's, that dope.
George Washington grew hemp. Fuck off.
I mean, if he did, like, that was something else that he stole and that he mistreated people off of. Dazed and Confused. Yeah. Husband's quoting Dazed and Confused now, which is one of our favorite movies, but they say that in Dazed and Confused.
I was wondering. I was like, wait, what is that?
Yes, Dazed and Confused. One of the greatest movies ever.
So let's get back to the show.
So I did. I wanted to ask you guys something that I watched, or that I thought of when I was watching. Okay. Is did you guys? I mean, obviously pick up on how they were talking about the commercialization of Christmas.
Oh,
and of course, I think that was like a huge aspect of it in the first couple scenes. How, thinking about now, how we're at our new normal, and how they're trying to avoid the traditional Black Fridays, which is like, you fuckers created, so don't try to backtrack on it now and be like, we're going to give the whole month of November.
No. Yeah. There's no fucking buddy who's trying to backtrack on that. Amazon is already promoting Black Friday deals, and like, shit's going to happen.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's what they're doing now, is instead of being just on that Friday, they're doing, which...
they've done that for a couple of years. But Amazon calls Black Friday for the month of November.
Yeah. But with my husband, as long as we've had, like, kids that write a Christmas list, we've realized that we can shop either the full month before and get those same freaking deals that you guys give on Black Friday, or we could just shop after, because you guys still have 26 days to make up, the money that you guys want to make up for the season. So I can tell you, you will find us plenty of times on Christmas Eve, the latest time that we can be inside of Walmart shopping and getting board games and shit like that. And I'm like, got the same shit that you end up getting months ago, and I still saved like an extra 100 or 200. So it's either they think that we're realizing that, or they're like, let's capitalize off of Rona and how all, trying to make it convenient for you. Yeah.
Like, that is, capitalism doesn't care that there's Rona. Capitalism is going to capitalize on whatever it possibly can. And the fact that people are sitting at home, not leaving and sitting on their computers all day, means that Amazon has, well, not just Amazon, but like big retailers have kind of this like IV into people now.
Yeah.
Because what do people do when they're on a break? Well, they don't go outside and go for a walk anymore because it's fucking scary out there. What do? Oh, they're going to surf Amazon and, look at cute clothes that they'll never try on and, shit like that, and end up with 5 things in their cart. And which is what has been happening to a lot of people over
I wouldn't be
pandemic.
surprised. Look,
nothing wrong with retail therapy. But.
Amazon definitely got a good little bit of my stimulus, let's just say. Okay. And
we're not even going to talk about that.
My boys,
my stimulus went to my classroom.
But my boys were like, we won. I was like, sure, we won. Okay. We want, and I think it's just a normal thing for us to want to do during this time. I mean, I know for my kids have been, just like everybody else, have been home for 7 months now. Like my 9 and 12-year-old are at each other's throat. They are in like opposite rooms of the house and stuff. And I'm like, as much as I'd be like, be brothers, I get it. You guys have been together incessantly,
I actually, you just reminded me of something that I did want to bring up. So not just as a teacher, but just as an observer in general, I have seen a huge increase in depression and loneliness in adults that I know. If you are suffering, your children, it's 3 times that because it's their entire world. There are now children who are contemplating and committing suicide because they are cut off from any kind of socialness at all. They're cut off from everyone they know other than their families. And it's not just in cases of domestic violence, which has gone up significantly. And it's not just in cases of substance abuse, which has gone up significantly. It's kids who before the pandemic were fine and were, there was one I was just reading about this girl. She was, I think, 8th grade. She was like 13 or 14. She was a Girl Scout, really excited about all of that, had lots of friends before all of this happened. And I think it was just this last Friday, she ended up killing herself because so much has gone wrong for her in such a short period of time. She lost all outlook of good. So, one of the things when the pandemic first hit and I was trying to somehow teach through all of this, I gave up on academics despite so many people freaking out about it, because I told my students and I told their families that right now your kids' emotional health is more important than where they are in school. They will catch up. We weren't learning multiplication in 2nd and 3rd grade when we were growing up, and we did just fine. If they are delayed for a year because you wanted to make sure that they could mentally handle what was going on, it's much better than just getting frustrated and trying to force your kid into the mold that whatever school district you are in has created for your kid. Very few school districts out there are, in my opinion anyway, doing enough for the mental health of their students. I'm really proud of my school district. I still don't think it's enough, but I'm really proud of what my school district has done. But like, that's really fucking scary when I think, we talked about this the other day, my husband and I, my stepson, this is his senior year in high school. And he's a football player, and he might not get to play football this year because of this. And he is devastated. And he hasn't seen his friends in months. What was that?
They're not pushing the season back? Like I know.
Oh, yeah, they're pushing it back. But right now in Washington State, cases are rising, and our president doesn't think that... Our president... Oh, I'm sorry. COVID is over. So he doesn't give a shit. So they're not going to do anything.
We've rounded the corner. We've rounded the bend. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, right into the 3rd wave.
Yes.
But I'll throw gasoline on the fire of what you're saying and then bring it right back to capitalism. I mean, I don't mean this as in shame on us, but like, sadly, gladly, like the 3 of us kind of are in a bubble in that we're okay during this pandemic.
Yes.
Now we have this election coming up. So in terms of depression, antidepressants and conditions skyrocketed. There was a skyrocket of antidepressants and depression issues after the first election of Donald Trump.
Yep.
Now here we go again. So let's see how all that goes and what that does to people's mental welfare in a pandemic. And then when you think about that in terms of like capitalism and Black Friday's coming, financially, the 3 of us are okay. But I mean, I'm not totally in tune or out of tune, but I get the vibe a lot of people aren't. So I do wonder what that means for capitalism in terms of Black Friday. What does it mean for Christmas?
That's a really good point. Because there are definitely people out there who have a new idea of disposable income because they're not going out and spending money like they would have.
Right.
And that's kind of how we are. Like, it feels like we have all this money because we're not doing anything. We're not going anywhere. I like to travel, and I have stayed so close to home. I've left my house like 20 times in 6 months, you know? So you've got people who are finding that they have this extra money that they weren't expecting, and it almost creates the, well, I need to spend this on Christmas presents kind of thing. Like, I've had that. I have that feeling right now. I'm on Etsy constantly because I'm trying to go for more homemade stuff this year. And like, I have a really good friend who has lost 2 jobs because of the pandemic. She lost the job she had when the pandemic started because her company closed. And then she got work, and that project ended, and they didn't pick up any of the people who were on that project to continue. And she has 2 kids. One of them has special needs. And like, she's like, I might lose my car next week. I'm just waiting to find out if they're going to let me go another month. And I'm like, how can I help you? How can I help everybody? You know, like, student loans aren't even asking me for shit. And those are like land sharks, you know?
Any finance company should really be taking whatever they can get on car loans right now. I mean, come on. Because it's a good little amount. And I would hate for you guys to figure out what I would have to pay. Like, because I'd be in default for real.
That's
like,
kind of why I have money in my account right now. I haven't been paying my student loans since all of this started. Like, that's why I have extra money. I haven't had to pay my fucking student loans. That's so dumb.
I know gas. We got a newer car we got a new car in December of last year. So right before everything. So we got a hybrid. So it was better on gas anyway, but you know, we're not driving everywhere. I mean, this upcoming weekend is going to be the first time that we're seeing our really good friends, which are a set of twins, which are hubby's frat brothers. Everybody that's important to us are from our college and stuff. But we're all getting together this Sunday because all of our kids haven't seen each other in a year. Like, when we were talking about it, we were like, we haven't seen you since the holiday party, which was November of last year. And I can't believe it that it went so fast. But then again, I'm like, I can, because I remember in March being like, oh, 2020 is done. We're not leaving out of this house until 2021. And as much as they try to ignore it, and Sacramento and they're being real good about it. Oh, we're only at 2.7%. Well, guess what that 2.7% is now? 3.2. Guess what it's going to be in a couple? 4 point. So quit acting like because you guys just went ahead and improved schools to open back up, that it's going the same way that it did originally. Washington was affected first. You guys seem like you guys were the epicenter. Then all of a sudden it hit California.
Yep.
So you guys were coming. Like, let's stop acting like we aren't aware of how viruses work.
Yeah. Washington state schools or not all of them. I think most of all the big school districts have basically said, we're not planning on having in-person until the new year at the earliest. Like, I think I have through January 28th, I think right now is what they've extended it to for my district. Because even if so Washington is generally steady most of the time. And what steady fucking means is we're still having the same number of infection just about every day. Like, we've constantly been steady. It's not going down. It's just remaining steady. And because of that, and well, actually recently there have been increases because it's happening everywhere. It's
do all that. Yeah.
I can't imagine. I keep seeing parents who are like, oh, you got to open schools, and I'm like, yeah, kids need better mental health right now. Kids need social interaction right now. But schools are not the answer. Schools are not going to be able to give your kids mental health. Not in this economy. I don't know about schools in other districts, but I know in my district, our school psychologist has a caseload in the hundreds. And our school counselor is actually a social worker. And our family support worker is actually a social worker, because that's what we need. But also, we had to do it that way because they don't hire counselors in most schools now. counselors will get a day or two, just like a librarian will get a day or two.
It needs to be more
Sucks.
focused. Like they actually need to get people that's what they went to school for. You know what I'm saying? Like they went to school to be that. And I can tell you, I remember my high school counselor, Miss Ramona Nelson. Like I loved her. She was there for me from freshman year until when I graduated. Any shit that I went throughout, I was sexually assaulted. I didn't know that Miss Nelson knew. When I finally went back to Miss School, Miss Nelson called me out of class once a week to make sure I was okay. You know, that was a counselor to me, who really cared and who really was like, look, I get that your parents are telling you to apply to a junior college, but you work, you have good grades. Why aren't you applying to these schools? You know, like she was, I love that. And I bet you if I asked my 23-year-old any of a high school counselor or junior high school counselor, he'd probably look at me like, a what? We had a conflict resolution. Like, I don't think that role is given enough credence anymore.
It's not given.
And respect. Yeah.
Anyway, again, back to Christmas.
Well, and that can actually roll back into the episode. So Riley, let's just roll that into Riley and his disdain for Santa.
So what I was going to say is the kind of the jumbling up of all the different Christmas ideas was one of the main kind of thoroughfares of the show. But one of my favorite parts was when Jasmine was explaining her idea of it.
I think you should do a play about what Christmas is really about. Christmas is about how Santa died for our gifts and rose from the dead and moved to the North Pole. And because of that, every year Santa comes down to forgive us our sins and give us eternal presents.
Man, Santa D's nuts.
So I love that, not just because Riley's like, man, but it just, when you talk to kids about what Christmas means to them or what Christmas is about, you usually hear Santa and presents. Mm-hmm. And I love that every character in this episode kind of has a different idea of Christmas. And Jasmine literally has all of those ideas meshed into her idea of what Christmas is about. And I just find that so cute and so very true, because so much of what kids know about Christmas is just what their parents tell them. Like, it's not, I mean, in society, yes, they'll see stuff, but like these days, a lot of schools are not doing individual holiday type stuff. They'll do like winter holiday season or, something like that. They're not singling out Christmas or New Year's or Kwanzaa or, all the different, what is it, 30-something that 30-something holidays just in the U.S. alone between the end of Thanksgiving and the beginning of the New Year, something like that. So I love Jasmine stole this episode for me, both that opening scene and this part here, and then trying to play his Girl Friday.
So cute. Yeah, I liked that Uncle Ruckus had a moment with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the time that you actually see, like, so he's not fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. He is just who he is. He's an old fuck who believes in what he believes. But the fact that he realized, like, there's a little girl that needs to be able to have that belief still, probably the only time we're going to see Uncle Ruckus and a true human side of him. But then again, he says, he's all caring. Then he goes,
"Thank you,
model, like you should know." What it's like.
I was totally going to bring that up. I'm like, wait, though. Mulatto. A mulatto.
Mulatto, yes.
And that idea that he has about mixed race kids is so, like, I experienced that growing up. I think I mentioned that on maybe the last episode or something, but like the idea that because a Black person's skin is lighter because they have some white in them, that means they're more intelligent, more articulate, more blah, 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 whatever. And like, I imagine Jasmine growing up constantly having to assure people that she actually is Black because she is, from this rich neighborhood, and she has mixed parents, and she's very light skinned, but she's got black hair. She got big old Afro puffs, and I fucking love it. And she looks like a little white girl with an afro. So,
and you could tell that not that she struggles, but that she recognizes that there's, a different black side than what she sees in her household. So she understands that, like, Riley and Huey, and she kind of digs it. Like, I think, she kind of like,
she's intrigued.
Kind of like how Riley just speaks his mind. And, I would feel that, and I've asked my son this, being that he is mixed, I said, was there ever a time in your life where you were just strictly around, like, my side of the family, and you kind of sat back and went like, wow, this is different from when I hang out with my dad's side of the family, or it's very powerful. Like, I'm wondering if there's ever that epiphany or that feeling that they get, like, wow, this is very powerful because they're so different, but I can be both parts.
See, I never understood that I could be both parts. It was never normalized to me. I was kept away from the black side, basically. But when I was around my black family, it was always laughter and food and happiness. And, like, most of my memories are good ones around my grandmother's house. And I mean, I know that she had some stuff. I won't go into it. Very, very large family on my dad's side. Very large. Like, my dad is one of one of 7. Wait. Yeah, I think that's right. And each of them, like, my dad only had me. All of his brothers and sisters had multiple kids, including, like, his youngest brother had, the ones that were legally known about, name on birth certificate, etc., was like 12. So, yeah. So, and I don't know. So it was I had this, like, rich, gross capitalist family on my mom's side that I didn't understand how my mom came from that family, but they were close enough that we could visit. And then I had the very poor family in Louisiana who, like, my grandmother's backyard still had chickens in it that she would run out to get to cook for dinner. And, they put in power lines down the street, like, in my memory. So, like, things like, it was a small, I mean, it wasn't as small. It's bigger now. It's a college town, but, like, my memories of that town, everything was dirt road. And, like, the main road where the mall was like the only place where anything was, unless you were on the college campus. So, but I actually really like that you brought up Ruckus, because the other quote that the other clip that I wanted to play, not quite yet. So Ruckus showed his humanity in that moment, I think. Like, yeah, he's fucking crazy. He's absolutely racist and just ignorant, and he's an asshole. But he sees a little girl crying, and he cannot let her just sit there and cry. And so that's really a really good redeeming value for him.
Yeah. Super endearing. It actually made me
endearing. Yes.
Yeah, it made me go forget that sometimes he is just ridiculous. Like, somebody kicked that man in the throat. But that just lets you know the genius of Aaron McGruder and the writers to be able to make a character that's so multifaceted and just like a real human. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that they put this thought into his background or who he is, and then allowing him to go, well, we're going to allow him to have a personal moment with the little girl who knows who he is.
Yeah.
So knows that you're not Santa, knows all this, that spoke to me.
Yeah.
Really, that was, like, probably the moment out of the episode that I kind of just sat up and really was paying attention to that. So, yeah, I like that part.
And I think the first couple of times I watched this episode, I kept going back to the quote that happened right after that scene. Actually, can you play that?
But Christmas miracles only happen in the lies adults tell to children. And maybe in Christmas specials.
So, that quote has a lot of different meaning for me. I think that this whole episode basically is everyone except for Riley and Huey really wanting to get into the Christmas spirit and be happy and excited about this time because of all of these different things that they believe. It doesn't matter that they believe different things. It's Christmas. It's exciting. It's happy. And all of it, like, you see it, I don't know, all of it is kind of colored with this, underlying fakeness of Christmas and, the different mall Santas and Riley attacking them and, just Jasmine completely losing her faith and then gaining it again because of the lies of adults.
Yes.
And I found that to be a really good kind of wrap up of what that whole holiday season to me is. Like, when I think about it, it's all lies that adults told children that got passed on when those children became adults. So,
yeah. And I definitely agree. And I wonder if it's because we are really trying to deep down allow our children to still be children.
Yeah.
I remember my mom going, "Oh, Christmas is so stressful." I was like, "What are you talking about? I get time off of school." Like,
right?
You're crazy. And I get it. It's not as stressful because I don't allow it to. Like, my babies are going to get what they get. And if you didn't get it, I'll get it for you later. And then they don't remember that shit anyway. So it doesn't really matter, and now I think you're able to get away with, look, you're getting this Xbox and you're getting some underwear. Like, back, you know what I'm saying? Like, before, before I had to beg for a Nintendo and it was just like, it had to be a thing, So I think my grandma put in on the Nintendo and shit like that, So I think that part of why we do it is because our children deal with so much, especially now, and they have access to so much. And it's like, why not allow them to have a little bit of, holding on to that childhood, that innocence?
One of the things that I did with Dean's kids as they were growing up, I never lied to them and told them there was a Santa. I just told them that I believed in Santa and that if you believed in Santa, Santa magically that happened, because Santa was me to them. But as long as they believed, I was going to buy them presents. And that went right up into a couple of years ago, as teenagers, where they were finally like, okay, we can't pretend to believe in it anymore. And I'm like, you will when you get to be an adult and you want more presents. So just remember that.
Look, moms say all the time, Santa bought me this, when we buy our own shit.
Hell
and then we wrap it up and we're like, oh, this is from Santa.
My mom and I still do each other's stockings, just like, Santa.
Yeah.
Well, this is my take on all of it. Because I grew up very different, but similar sort of to what you're saying. My mom, I started school when I was 2. I started preschool because I've talked about it a lot on our other podcast, but my dad was a crackhead. My mom's like, no, you're not staying with him anymore. The school said, bring her here, we'll take her. So I spent my time in school, and I remember her telling me I had to be younger than 2 years old. And she said, listen, you can't tell anyone, but there's no such thing as Santa. I'm Santa. All those presents, I bought those. But you keep that to yourself. We weren't allowed to ask for Christmas presents. We had a wealthier uncle who funded our Christmases and all this kind of stuff. But so she was just, the way she raised us was always hard reality. This is what it is. Deal with it, blah, 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 blah. And so in watching this episode, my big takeaway from it was that Christmas was we watch how all the characters and through them, different people deal with reality. You see Jasmine struggling with what it's like to have your concepts of reality broken. You see Uncle Ruckus trying to reinforce that in her. You see Riley, who, when he knows his reality and he knows people don't accept his reality, the carrot is dangled of him putting on the show and having his vision received, and then it's snatched away. And then you see Riley, who reacts like a lot of people. Hey, I'm upset. You're going to pay what you owe, Santa. So my whole thing in watching this was just you're watching the struggles of people having to come to terms and cope with what happens when your delusions or whatever are kind of broken and taken away from you. That's it.
So do you think that Riley's issue was surrounding his parents?
Yeah, I think Riley, he didn't really... I think Riley's at the age where he still wants to believe in Santa, but doesn't really.
Yeah.
So he was attacking the mall Santa kind of partially to hey, you left us hanging when we were really poor. I don't believe in you because, you didn't do anything for us. But then again, I really want to believe in you. So maybe you're Santa, so I'm going to attack you. And then, oh no, see, you're not the real one, so it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
like, I feel like his whole, like, I keep coming back to Riley's like one of the kids in my classroom. He's got so much going on. He just like, he came from what does not sound like the greatest environment. Like we know very little, even watching the entire series, we know very little about Huey and Riley's birth parents, other than Granddad was the mom's dad. That's later season. I can't quite remember right now, but so yeah, anyway, we know that they were in Chicago. And there are plenty of parts of Chicago that are very nice, but I suspect they were not in those areas. And for Riley, he's kind of at that age where his personality is all wrapped up in this like missing Chicago and who he was in Chicago and who he hung out with and who he knew. Like he's trying to recreate that in this rich neighborhood, basically.
Yeah.
But he's also a little kid. And like this episode really showed that he was a little kid. He's pissed that Santa, like he didn't even ask for a whole car. He wasn't being greedy. He just wanted some rims. Like he didn't know why that was such a big deal.
Yeah. That's so funny. But yeah, this episode with everything that they talked about, I mean, we definitely talked about the religion is an opioid of the masses. So the I don't want to say the drugging, but the forceful, the way that we're force fed, religion, and how Christmas plays a big part of that. Of course that was kind of like the underlying message of this as well. I mean, I have my whole own personality or this, idea about it. I think that a lot of people this year will be okay with not going to church just for the appearance of going to church on Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or telling the family we're not coming to deal with the drama that is the holidays this year. Like, I think that will be a benefit of the Rona, is that the holidays will take a less of importance and the importance being focused on in a West throwaway. Yeah.
There won't be as much emphasis on being together, but there will still be, like, hopefully it'll be more about whatever that holiday means for you in particular.
Yeah.
It's like here we're probably gonna, I don't know if we'll even actually do anything this year because, I mean, the girls got her own apartment. We're gonna have to talk about that. Okay. I'm sure my mom's out there listening to this going, please come over. When you get that heater and you're outside back porch working, we'll talk.
We'll talk about it. Right?
It's about to be winter.
Yes. I'm kind of okay. Like, I actually kind of looking forward to not having to choose and not having to, hear my mother-in-law go, oh, that's okay, I'll just be by myself. Or my mom going, well, I'm your family too. Or, like, I could actually have an excuse and being like, well, we staying our asses at home because that's what the Rona said.
Yep.
So I'm kind of actually a little happy about it, to be honest. Because I'm okay with staying in our pajamas all day, me cooking a nice dinner, the boys, opening their gifts, doing what they want to do, and us just chilling. Like, I'm okay with that. I can go get my own alcohol and watch, A Christmas Story, which is something that we definitely do.
Oh, we're dieharders on Christmas Day.
Oh, love it. Oh,
or Gremlins, or like whatever non-traditional Christmas movie.
Yeah. I'm like, let's get some freaking Chinese food, and like, let's not even like, I don't want to cook. Let's do it like real New Yorker. We're Jews or something. Like, I don't know. Let's not even do the other focus. But yeah, we'll kind of see, how it goes. Like I said, I'm not really too sad if we end up getting put back on lockdown.
Yeah. So I have one more question that I definitely wanted to get to before we go into our white people question. So my question is, do you think Huey knows how to have fun? And does wokeness inherently mean that you are going to be miserable? because I know a lot of people right now are probably feeling pretty fucking miserable that they can see what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And people who ignore that tend to be a little happier. So what do you think about that?
That's a great question.
I do think that was one of the central themes of the episode. Just like what's going on with him, like how you finally start to see him get a little excited about putting on this play, like from his whole arc, and then how hurt
he gets
is
sadder and sadder. But it's not just like before he's even told about the you can't have a Black Jesus thing, and before the PTA, like he walked into that room like with his shoulders down and his head down, and he's never been drawn that way in the show before. So, he's just walking in like that, and Jasmine's like, this is going on and this is going on. He's like, whatever, I don't care. I'm done. It's over. Let the PTA do whatever they're going to do. And like, before he's even told that his vision isn't going to happen, he has started to lose any ability to enjoy what he's doing anymore. Whereas in the beginning, he was like, okay, I'm going to call in my friend that he somehow knows, Quincy Jones, and he'll bring in all these other people and this music, and we'll make this work, right? Yeah. Like, how does he magically know Quincy Jones?
I think, I know, right? He just like stayed around. Like, he just stayed around. Like, that was just like, I'm going to cast, I'm going to do all this. Yeah. Like, he just stayed around. Which Quincy Jones has a lot of damn money. So I wouldn't be that surprised if, like, randomly he moved to some small town and was helping some kid put on a elementary school play. Wouldn't be that surprised. But I do think that that's where his happy place was until he met the obstacle of, like, how are you guys denying just undeniable facts about the holiday? And I think he realizes, like, okay, we may not be able to change opinion about Black people or about our history, but the basic fact about religion, which is something that I think he feels like everybody has a commonality on. Well, now we can't even have that commonality. You guys are basically telling me that you're going to refuse to acknowledge that Jesus is Black.
That he could possibly be anything other than...
Yeah. Or he could be Italian, like the lady said. We could make him Italian. Like, what do you mean?
Or white.
yeah. And the fact that they were so discounting, that's something as well. It's like, instead of you raising up this young Black man who's doing something to actually try to, better your school and your community, you just threw him off to the side. And then, like I said, tore up the contract, which I think for him made it much more adult and much more respected. Like, he was respected more. But I love that Judge Reinhold, who voiced the teacher.
Harambe!
Yes, I imagining him, and I just keep seeing him in the jacking off scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's all I think of. But you do have people like that, and it's usually an educator, that still has that same passion.
Yeah, especially like 15, 20 years ago, you had a lot of what we now refer to as, white liberals, because they grew with the times and then stopped somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what that teacher is. He's stuck a few years behind where he needs to be, basically. So
I feel like
I do like that the
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I like the reference of him becoming a professor of African American studies at the University of Maryland, which is what Aaron Magruder did.
Yes.
Like, that was he was like punking himself with that one.
I had a great African American professor who was Dominican. And you would not have known that. You would have really thought Professor Peskov was all kind of Black. But I'm telling you, that man, the passion and the belief and the time that he put into really understanding and educating himself on our history it made me just respect him so fucking much. And I was like, I don't even see that you're not, like, I can't tell you that you can't teach me this. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't personally go through it. I didn't fucking personally go through slavery. So who would I be? But you definitely do have those.
It's really difficult for me to sit in a race and equity training that's being put on by white people. Like,
white people.
That's a thing.
Yeah. I don't want Karen telling me some shit. Karen, go sit. I don't want you telling me shit. Okay,
Lindsay,
don't tell me anything about my people. But
just saying that it ties back. It all ties back again into this matter of like your first question is, does Huey know how to have fun and what this means to be woke? I think kind of the takeaway there and about the professor is that if you are woke, quote unquote, no, people aren't going to get you. They're going to be the granddads. What are you talking about? This is not sexy. They're going to be the Jasmines and the Uncle Ruckus reinforcing the lies. But what you will find is that, just like the people on this podcast, you will connect with a few other people like this professor, the few you find who are also there with you. And it may be 1 in a million, but you will find them, and there's kind of that optimism of having your reality heard and D-to-D-to-D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. All right.
Yeah.
I think that's a good note to move on
Wrap
to
it
our
up
white
on
guy.
Yeah.
So, could I have you all join me in the Harambe salute?
Harambe!
Harambe!
Oh my God.
good. That
And
was
can
so
we
white
just
of
say
me.
that I
No.
had forgotten about the gorilla until watching this episode again. And then I was like,
Right?
oh, yeah.
Right? So funny.
Yeah.
Never forget.
And Judge Reinhold is the perfect.
So good.
I mean, the white guy voice that he has.
So good.
It's so, man, you will never
the
mistake
white
him.
guy teacher voice. Perfect.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, that was perfect. Yeah, spot on. And the guy who played the Santa, it was also the guy who played
the principal.
the principal, who I know from he was the boss. If you ever saw Raising Arizona, that Nicolas Cage knocked out.
That's
That
right.
Nicolas Cage knocked out. He was the boss that he knocked out. So. But yeah,
right. Damn,
also a
that's really
great
long.
voice actor. But yeah, so the question that I have, it's kind of it's in a roundabout way. It's not an exact question, but a question that I
It's
fabricated.
an amalgamation.
Yes, by.
A Twitter thread?
It was a Twitter thread. Yeah, it's just really kind of hard. But basically, so the question is, why does working together, meaning white and black, need to be so difficult? Can't we please just be civil?
Yeah, let's talk about tone policing.
Why do you black people have to be so angry?
Yeah.
Why do you black people?
Right? No, absolutely. Why? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because we've
could there be a
been
reason?
it's because we've been screaming at the top of our lungs for 400 years that you've been ruining us and you haven't listened and you're still not fucking listening now. So why should I be nice and civil and, placate to your bullshit? Like, that's, in my opinion, being nice and being civil is how we got Trump. Putting up with bullshit and smiling and doing what I think we were talking about this before, doing the emotional labor of trying so desperately to make the world understand our lives and just be shit on over and over and over and over again and told every single day in one way or another that we are less than fuck you. We're done. We don't have to be nice anymore. Yeah. We've tried nice. You're not fucking listening.
And to put this question in white people terms for white people to understand, can't you just make me feel comfortable in what I've tried to do?
And that's what it boils down to. And it's,
Harambe.
I know you would say this, it is not our responsibility to make you feel comfortable. We've done that for so long. Look at the movie The Help. I'm saying, look, it's just, we've played positions for so long. And while I don't want to say are used to it, we know that in certain situations we're okay. It's comfortable to do that. We can do it. But just to make your life better, no, it's not my responsibility because you're not doing what needs to be done to make my life better. So we can't begin to work together. And you can see me as being mad, just like, me speaking in this tone of voice. There's some people going to be like, why is she so aggressive and angry? When all I'm doing is passionately speaking and having a conversation. Yeah. Whereas if, Tiffany with the Y, because that's how most people, spell their names.
Hey, one of my best friends is Tiffany with a Y.
No, it's okay.
She's awesome.
That's okay.
E-I-G-H.
No, yeah, Tiffany with an E-I-G-H. I like that. Tiffany.
Right. They, they very much want that, make me feel good, make me feel better.
Yeah.
And I think it's because in all of the history, white women have been protected. And even if your husband was sleeping with the slave and like had a full another family and was actually cool with them and everything, they still acted like that was not a situation around you. You were still the woman of the household. Even though everybody
would
knew.
get mad at the slave as if the slave somehow tempted the slave owner.
Yeah, and like everybody knew. You knew, your children knew, everybody knew. But yet it was, let's protect you. Let's protect these very, timid and emotions and feelings of yours that are like China. And that has unfortunately just manifested and grown over into, oh my God, there are Black people being Black people. 911, please come and stop them from being Black people. Like that's what's led into this now. And now they're getting upset and they wonder why there's a Karen law that's being enacted. Yeah, right. So far.
And here's kind of my thing with it too, y'all. I used to be an IT analyst doing software development. So what you typically do is work on big projects. And what you always start with is, what is the goal or objective of this project? When it comes to matters of like, oh, can we all just like work together and be civil and DCDD? Well, what's the objective? Because even when we talk about this election, I see a lot of y'all out here on Twitter talking about, oh, I can't wait till Trump's out of office so I can go back to being XXX. Your objective is
so things
to
can
get
go back
Trump.
to normal.
Yes. That is not my goal or objective. Our goal and objective is equality and fair treatment.
At the minimum.
Yes. Like that's what we're aiming for. So when you have people who are working towards two separate goals, you're already in the mode of conflict. And maybe we are more invested in our objective and you're more just like, this is a task I have to cross off the list. So until we all get aligned on what the big picture is, what the end game is, we are never going to be in a place where we can authentically be civil and work together, I guess, without discourse. I'm sorry.
We need to have a snaps audio because there's all kind of snaps. So we need to be able to snap that up. That is perfectly said and perfectly answered. Like when we can agree that we have the same platform and the same end goal, then that's when everything else comes into place. Cake, love it. Got it, people. Is that your answer? Was that sufficient? No.
That was great. I mean, and it kind of at one part I wanted to jump in on there was we were talking about white women, and I don't know if you saw the SNL bit where Bill Burr.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great, and they were up.
Ooh, they got mad.
Yeah,
hot.
And so I was reading those threads on Twitter, and I wasn't getting involved because the Black women who were coming at the white women that were coming at Bill Burr.
Oh, they amazing. Had it. Oh, they had it. Oh, yeah.
That was perfect.
I'm sure there was a lot of, look, sis, this is really what it is. I'm sure
honey,
a lot of the white ladies were called sis and they were like Googling, what does that mean?
Because Bill ended it with, sit down here next to me, the white man, and take your talking to.
Yep. And I loved it because, I mean, that's exactly what needs to happen. Just sit back, shut the hell up. I mean, I think the most atrocious call to me this year was when the man who was obviously not a threat as a Black man, being that he was walking or jogging through the park, or no, bird watching.
Yes.
Bird. Okay. These are things that you do not get intimidated by. A Black man in the park bird watching.
What about the kid like selling water on the side of the street?
Oh, well, yeah. But I mean, this lady was blatantly, I mean, he had the camera on her. She's like, he's attacking me. Oh, God, he attacked my dog. But what?
Her dog got taken away from her, too.
Yes.
After
like, you were doing more harm to the dog than he. Yeah. Like, that to me was, the audacity. Like, when you wake up in the morning, you wake up and like birds are on your freaking, your windowsill and you sing to them and you're like, it's so great to be white, and then like, what world do you fucking live in, lady?
Being white, it's such a wonderful delight.
Yes. I mean, I don't get it. And there's going to have to be a psychological or sociological review or ideology or something that's going to define that mindset.
Someday,
you know, 'cause it's something like you have common sense. You're able to function as a human being in every other aspect, but you just can't hear. Like something's wrong. You know, maybe that black penis that you got back in high school and you thought it was going to work out and it dumped you. Maybe that was it. I don't know.
Well, on that note, let's talk a little bit real quick about next week. So, we record on Tuesdays. Yes. And if you are here in the United States of America, next Tuesday is election night. We are going to live stream election results as they come in on election night. We will be smoking weed and probably drinking no matter what the outcome is. But we will also hopefully be having some friends joining us for it. So if you are interested maybe in calling in and saying hi and telling us how much you love us and fuck Trump or whatever you want to say, we'll probably be putting something out on the social medias in the next couple of days if it's not already by the time this is out. Anyway, join us. Election night. We are not going to be doing an episode. We are just going to be Black in America on an election night.
Hey, that's a reality show for you. I do just really quickly. I'm going to do a little bit of a self-promotion.
Do it.
The Menage with the Mary Jane Maven podcast, which is my baby. We are celebrating our year anniversary episode. Actually, today is the anniversary. Okay, never mind. Just kidding. Tomorrow is the actual date. We're celebrating early. I'm going to start that celebration, but I'm having a super cool episode. I'm going to have some of the favorite past guests, co-hosts are coming in. We are going to be doing a Pocky Hot Chip Challenge. If you guys watched our subscribers or listeners or watched before, I did that earlier in the year. I'm going to do it with some other people in studio in my home. We're going to talk about some shit. We're going to have a good time. That is tomorrow. And then I will, of course, talk about, next Tuesday as well. So anybody that listens to me or that is interested, and you'll find out. Actually, I think this will come out after my episode.
Yeah, I was just going to clarify. So this episode will be coming out on Halloween.
Yes. Okay.
So that will be after you record. Is it going to be available for people to listen to?
Yes. And it's also live. Yes. So, so hopefully, I'll tweet about it maybe in a bit here, and let people know they want to tune in and find out the Boondocks Podcast info, a little teaser.
Tomorrow,
yes.
Streaming by midnight.
Yes, the hubby, which is how we refer to him on the podcast. We are on YouTube Live. We are on Facebook Live. And you guys will be able to call in, live chat. Twitter. We're on Twitter live as well. And one other thing I did want to mention really quickly. Did you guys hear about Giuliani and the Borat movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
God, yes.
Can we just end on that? Like, I mean...
Wait, you want us to end on a creepy old guy showing us that he's a creepy old guy?
I mean,
I don't know. Is that news?
I love Sacha Baron Cohen, though.
Giuliani's gross as shit, man.
He is gross. And he was extra gross there. Like,
Yeah,
you're
he
gross
was.
anyway. And then the fact that you were definitely trying to flirt and do whatever with the, I couldn't, I don't even imagine the chub that he had. Like, that's gross. But I love Sacha Baron Cohen because he keeps getting these fools and he keeps getting them. I mean, his show that he had on Showtime or HBO that he had last summer was genius.
Oh, you mean
when he
Sacha
was
Baron
catching
Cohen?
people.
Yes.
Oh,
He's,
I mean-
I do not like his brand of humor, but I totally get where he's coming from and why he does what he does. But his serious shit is really good. And when he talks about like politics and stuff, he is brilliant. Really should listen to him.
Yeah.
He
actually
did his thesis on the civil rights movement. He came over from the UK, lived in Selma, and wrote his whole thesis while he was there.
He's a brilliant man. Brilliant white man. Yes. Brilliant
mind
white
blown.
man.
I did not know
And
that.
he's British.
And he's British, yeah.
He's British and Jewish.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Wow. I knew he was British, but I didn't know that he it is, he's serious about this. This isn't something that he's just, gotten famous over here and realized how fucked up our shit is and then just has commentary on it. Like,
I mean,
okay.
And also, like, I honestly have never really liked any kind of humor like that. It's just not my thing. But like looking back, now that like I've heard him talk about why he does what he does, like looking back on things, even like the Ali G show and shit, like he wasn't ever making fun of people. He was basically letting other people just expose themselves. And it just became hilarious because that's what he was doing. Every single character he's done when he's doing his comedy, it's just basically something to pull out those prejudices and pull out those biases and highlight it for the world. And in the meanwhile, you got people laughing because, he's Borat and he doesn't know anything and he's funny. But really, it's fucking brilliant shit.
And he does the same thing. He lets them hang themselves. Like that's what he did in the show that he had. This Is America, I think that was called, or something like that. And then that's what he did with Giuliani. You know what I'm saying? He had a girl in there. Like, I'm just saying, come on, men, take off the men glasses sometimes and just realize when some shit is not like all, like I felt like it was the Maury setups that they used to do, or the Jenny Jones ones, where they'd be like, we had a lady come into the green room and then he just felt, all of a sudden, like, why are you so dumb? It was obviously a setup. Like, I'm just saying, like, he's obvious without being obvious, and he just allows them to hang themselves. And that's what Giuliani did. And we all have eyes. So please don't have a narrative about it. Don't come out and try to defend yourself. We all saw what it is. You're a creepy old man. Ugh. But yes. So.
Well, that's a good note to end on right there.
It is. Creepy old man. Yes.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I need you to get the hell up out of here.
Hey, thanks for joining us again as we make our way through the trials and tribulations of the Freeman family. We hope to see you again next week for the live election episode. Please join us, and we hope that you guys have a great week.
Want to know where to find us on the social medias or where to subscribe to the podcast? Just head right over to www.theboondockspod.com/links.
Have a stupid white people question you want to leave us? Email us at host@theboondockspod.com or leave us a voicemail at 760-933-8636. That's 760-3-UNDO.
Shout out to the artists who've created our intro and outro tunes. Our intro is #MakeAChange by KIRK. You can find them on Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal. Our outro is Good Times by Audio Binger. You can find them on freemusicarchive.org and YouTube.